Hello, I greet you wherever you are listening me from, and I would like to greet you in the Hausa language. Baraka da safiya, baraka da kana or darana, baraka da dare. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And Misunana Dennis Wembia. My name is Dennis Wembia. Because you'll be listening to this clip from different places and different times, so the greeting suits your time zone. I just thought this morning I should talk about alcohol and driving, and what effects this alcohol has on the driving performance. We've seen a lot of people say, no, driving, makes you become active. Others will be driving, they will say they cannot drive, at least they have one beer. Now, we need to face the facts. The use of alcohol and the other drugs has been a major problem in our society for many years. If you look at the statistics from the World Health Organization, you find that driving is the #1 work-related fatality in the world. Now, in our society for many years, this problem is greatly compounded when someone who uses the alcohol drug, if he also drives, it becomes a problem. And for several years now, a growing number of collisions involved drivers who used alcohol and other drugs. So driving under intoxication is a major problem up to now. Now, during more recent years, the rate of alcohol-related fatal crashes, they've been going down, not because people have stopped drinking, but because most of the countries now have enforced the minimum age for driving and drinking, and the law now in most parts of the Africa, they have enforced the law whereby they cannot even sell alcohol to an underage. So this means that laws against underage drinking and driving are becoming more stricter, and are enforced, and alcohol-related education programs, such as the one I usually conduct, have also increased. However, alcohol-related crashes are still a top safety problem. Check individual country statistics all over the continent. You find that this is a big problem. Now, when we talk about alcohol, for the sake of those that like arguments, yeah, my aircon was making noise, so I tried to switch it off. What are the facts? Many people who use alcohol today do not realize that alcohol is actually a drug. And how do we prove that alcohol is a drug? The genesis of alcohol, how did it start? Why do we have alcohol in the world? So, alcohol is commonly used, it's a commonly used term for a chemical substance called ethanol and or grain alcohol or eth alcohol. Now, the effects of alcohol also vary from one person to another. And you find that equal amounts of alcohol affect different people in different ways. One will take one bottle of alcohol, he will be very drunk. The other one will carry just one bottle of alcohol and it will look like nothing, as he has not even taken anything. So even though the severity of its effects vary, alcohol effects on everyone who uses it can be serious, and are always serious. One of the most serious problems of alcohol is that, when after drinking, you also drive. So the demands of driving task are so great that every driver needs to be in the best condition. And the best condition possible. We've introduced the OJDA principle, and the OJDA principle is a thinking task. So for somebody to achieve a best performance in driving, someone really just needs to be in as much sober as possible. Now, a person cannot afford to increase the risk of driving by having his or her driver's license skills or suspended, or the driving skills reduced. Now, I want to talk about few facts that are actually basing on the statistics that I see from most of the National Bureau of Standards, National Statistics, and World Health Organization, and many other data collecting agencies. You find that when you look at, you tally the figures together, you find that alcohol is a major factor in nearly 50% of all traffic deaths. And also, you find that the highest rates for intoxication are found in the drivers in their early 20s. The highest rates for intoxication, or maybe let me say 40% of drivers ages between 19 to 25 involved in fatal crashes. Most of them had been drinking. You go on, like all ages, in ages between as early as 18 years to 22 years involved in fatal crashes. About 21% were intoxicated. Drivers ages between 16 and 20 are more likely to be alcohol impaired than any other age group. And nearly half of those killed in all alcohol-related collisions had been drinking. They had not been drinking, but were victims of drunk drivers. You find 20 people perish in a road crash, and one driver was intoxicated. Because he was intoxicated, he drove carelessly or dangerously. His crash results in 20 people, 30 people dead, one man. So it brings to the justification of nearly or 3/4 of those killed in alcohol-related collisions had not been drinking. Some of them don't even drink. Some of them don't even know how alcohol tastes, but were victims of drunk drivers. This is how serious this issue is. And when you look at the time zones, most of the research that we have undertaken, we find that between 20 hours to 03 in the morning on Fridays, Saturdays, and public holidays, those nights, you find that at least one of every 10 drivers is legally drunk. What do we mean when I say legally drunk? When you look in the revised highway code, revised Nigerian highway code on section B, you find it clearly states 0.05 grams of the alcohol is a legal limit in Nigeria. When one is found with 0.05, it will be considered as legally drunk. So you find that at least one of every 10 drivers is legally drunk for those in crashes. And for drivers of all ages involved in fatal crashes, about 1 in 4 is intoxicated. And nearly 60% of all fatalities during the holidays are alcohol related. Can we see how serious this thing is? We have to acknowledge, and this must come to our knowledge, that everyone needs to know how alcohol affects the mental and physical abilities, needed for safe driving. Non-drinkers who interact with intoxicated drinkers, or those that are under the influence of alcohol. People who drive need to know the importance of not drinking when they are driving. And this is just not all. Alcohol also has mental disability. Now, why is it that drink driving is such a big problem, and that it is even in the law? In the Road Traffic Act number 11 of 2002 in Zambia, and when you look at the FRSC Act of 2007 in Nigeria, and you look at the Ugandan Highway Code, look at the Tanzanian Highway Code, look at the Kenyan Highway Code. These laws, when you look at them, you wonder why is it even in the law? Now, I need to make you understand that alcohol begins to affect a person's abilities almost the time he swallows it in the body. Or maybe in other ways, should I say, almost the moment it enters the body. And the other fact is that alcohol is not digested, because I've met some people who, there's this beer that is brewed using corn, millet, sorghum, cassava, and the people drinking will be like, in this beer there are vitamins. When they think that when they drink, they have vitamins to help them keep healthy. It's wrong, because alcohol is not digested. It is absorbed directly, and it absorbed quickly into the bloodstream through the walls and linings of the stomach and the small intestine. That's what alcohol does. Once alcohol enters the bloodstream, it quickly reaches the brain, because of the brain's large, blood supply. Alcohol has its greatest effect on the parts of the brain that controls judgment and reasoning. Which are these? We have cerebrum, we have cerebellum, and we have medulla. Okay? So these are affected. Now, the most critical skills needed by drivers, physical abilities, become impaired soon after. Okay? Judgment and reasoning becomes impaired, because a driver affected by alcohol has a decreased ability to reason clearly and make sound judgments. So the driver actually feels though, thinking and judging abilities are sharper and quicker than usual. In addition, alcohol quickly diminishes the ability to concentrate. A decrease in the ability to concentrate greatly increases a driver's level of risk. That's the simple explanation. So after only one drink, such as one beer, one glass of wine, one whatever, I don't know the names of beers, a person's driving ability can be reduced as the amount of alcohol in the person's body increases. That person's driving ability decreases even more. After only one drink, alcohol can affect your judgment, can affect your reasoning, can affect your concentration. It can reduce coordination. It can distort depth perception. Depth perception is the judgment of speed and distance. It can alter moods and emotions. And the OJDA process is affected when judgment and reasoning abilities are reduced. So an alcohol-impaired driver is less able to interpret correctly what he or she sees. The driver tends to stare in one direction and fails to use visual search, a pattern of the OJDA principles effectively. That driver makes errors in judging distance, in judging speed, and even shape. So alcohol-impaired drivers are very likely to make poor decisions. You're likely to make poor decisions. So alcohol also weakens a driver's inhibition. So when you are inhibition, what I mean is the inner forces of personality that hold back or restrain one's impulsive behavior. Alcohol, just as alcohol content in the body increases, a driver's inhibitions weakens. A person might drive too fast, take less risks, and even take needless risks and even drive into emergency situations without knowing or caring. So alcohol is a major problem, not only in Africa, but in all countries where it is highly consumed. Because alcohol does not only affect mental abilities, it also affects physical abilities. I was lecturing in a class last week about the dangers of driving trucks under the influence of alcohol. I showed the video and also explained how the three parts of the brain functions, and we gave a video of a movement of a drunken person. It opens people's minds. We have to understand that as more alcohol enters the bloodstream, the area of the brain that controls muscular movements and body control begins to slow down. That is cerebellum. Because cerebrum is meant for reasoning and cerebellum for movements. So the brain takes longer than normal to process the information and react to the danger. Messages the brain sends to different parts of the body might become confused. Reaction time and coordination time are affected because the muscular reactions of a driver who has been drinking can be slow and clumsy. Steering and braking, movements and all that can become uncoordinated. So the driver might oversteer, brake late, or not even braking at all. So the driver might not be able to negotiate turns properly and safely. Such actions cause drinking drivers to be involved in serious crashes. So alcohol is more likely to affect the actions of a beginning driver. These new drivers who come, when I have, when I'm the one assessing drivers, and the first time I smell, I sense you are smelling alcohol, you are disqualified automatically. Because if you cannot behave yourself when you are going to attend the assessment tests, you can't even hold your drinking for a simple day. What more when you are employed? You start telling people, I can sue you, I've got rights to drink. That cannot be tolerated. So the physical abilities um, also affect the vision. Visibility is very important because everything about driving should be in conjunction with good looking, good observation. Now, if you can't see, and alcohol does affect the seeing abilities, alcohol affects the driver's ability to see clearly, sometimes night vision. That's why we have a lot of accidents for people who have been drinking at night, because peripheral vision, color vision, and depth perception are all impaired. So because alcohol distorts vision, it reduces the effective use of the orderly visual search of the Dennis OJDA process. So a drinking driver's eyes are more likely to fixate in a stare, thus reducing the scanning and searching process. In addition, both visual acuity and peripheral vision are reduced. So after 1 or 2 drinks, a person's eyes need more light to see, dimly lit its objects. At night, a driver who has not been drinking can see the pedestrian picture properly. You can see any object moving properly. You can see, as long as this lighting is okay, you can see. But now, the visual acuity of a drinking driver becomes impaired. The drinking driver might not even see the pedestrian at all. So alcohol also affects the reflex action of the eyes at night, and this impairment can be critical. As headlamps of oncoming vehicles come closer, the pupils of the eyes normally become smaller to shut out excess light. So this reflect keeps you from being blinded by the glare of the headlamps. This is why we have a lot of crashes at night. Spotlights. In Southern Africa, Namibia is doing well, because in Namibia, when you go with a truck that has spotlights, they will take them immediately. But now we have a problem in Zambian roads. Police checkpoints, you are seeing spotlights carelessly lit. The law is there. Why don't you start confiscating these spotlights? Remove them. When people cannot learn how to use spotlights, when they are not helping to reduce collisions, police should come in to enforce. So when the lights have passed, you find that the pupils enlarge again to let in all available light. So the ability of your eyes to continually make this change is extremely important. So after only a few drinks, this reflex action is impaired. The pupils do not become small rapidly as the bright lights approach, and they are slow to open after the bright lights pass. As a result, the driver can be blinded temporarily and may continue to have blurred vision for some time after meeting other vehicles. So after heavy drinking, a person might see blood or multiple images. Each eye normally picks up a separate image of an object. The brain quickly coordinates these two images so that the person sees only one image. After several drinks, however, coordination of the images become impaired. A person might see several images, such as numerous center lines of the roadway. An oncoming car might even appear to be on both sides of the roadway at the same time. So alcohol also impairs, the movement of and the distance of with this depth perception. So drinking driver might perceive something as being far away, when in actual sense, that thing you think is far away is very near. So it actually and actually very close to you. So accurate depth perception is needed to judge distance and speed of oncoming vehicles, distance from vehicles ahead, distance from signs and signals, distance needed for stopping safely. Peripheral vision is also impaired by alcohol. When peripheral vision is narrowed, a driver must turn and look to the sides for potential problems. After a few drinks, though drivers are usually not aware of restricted side vision, they do not even make efforts to aggressively look to the sides. They are creating a hazard. So this and many others are just a problem that we need to look at. And when we look at other physical problems, a person continues to drink, the center of the brain might become impaired. The center called medulla controls breathing and heartbeat. So death can occur if amounts of alcohol consumed over a very short period reach the medulla. Usually a person becomes unconscious and stops drinking before you reach that point. I had a cousin who was even hospitalized for beer. So it's a very serious family issue. In families, we have people that have brain damage. You find that an alcoholic, even reasoning and judgment, even at home, you have a serious problem that you have to sort out. Involve an alcoholic and an alcohol addicted person. They'll be struggling for a simple reasoning contribution to the meetings. So my dear listeners, this thing is going to 29 minutes. I have a lot to say about the dangers of driving and drinking alcohol and driving, but maybe I'll come back in the next video so that I can explain some of these things. Thank you for listening. This is Dennis Wembia, instructor and international truck driving instructor. I'm the author of a book, Advanced Principles of Professional International Truck Driving, first edition. By December 2024, I'm looking forward to launch my book, Advanced Principles Professional International Truck Driving Techniques, which is the second edition. So look out for it and you'll be blessed. All driver trainers across Africa, this book will help you advance your driving skills. Drivers, this book will help you advance your skills. Beginners, this book will help you to learn. Thank you very much.